Well, Jerome Tang is out as a head coach at K-State. The question is, how much is it going to cost K-State to get rid of him? Because it sounds like it is going to be a battle. We'll break it all down coming up next. Welcome in to a special live edition of 3 an emergency 3 And we're here to discuss the firing of Jerome Tang. He has been fired. It is fired for cause. We can confirm that. But if you don't believe us, literally right before I popped in here for a second time, DY has so graciously given me the words of Pete Thamel from ESPN, who says, per ESPN sources, K-State is firing Jerome Tang for cause. They've informed him of this formally tonight. The basis for the cause firing is language in his contract that references any activity that brings, quote, public disrepute, embarrassment, and ridicule to Kansas State. So I'd imagine that this one's going to get interesting. I don't think Jerome Tang's going down without a fight, but we'll react to all of it, where K-State may go next for a head coach. Going to get an early jump start on that. So there's a ton to cover, ton to break down here. It, of course, is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Holiday Distillery. Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon might be an apt choice for some of you right now. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but it certainly is tasty. We hear from everybody involved here. So get some Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. If you don't have it near you, talk to your local liquor store and demand it. Demand it, people. 360 Vodka also a great choice from them. Thank you to our friends at Holiday Distillery, awesome K-State folks who support the show. It's been a busy afternoon / night. You know, the group chat started blowing up mid to late afternoon today, and you started to get the picture that, okay, by the time we come around to tonight, we may be doing a little live show, and here we are. 3 After Dark. I don't know why I didn't just lead with that. Welcome into 3 After Dark, DY.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I would just say the group chat started blowing up at about 9 a.m. this morning. With
was it 9 a.m. that DY was first on the scene, but was it that early?
I had something in the morning that suggested that something could be in the works, and then I was the one that had something in the afternoon that really kind of put it into motion. So both times, that was me.
Yeah,
I didn't break it though. That was everybody else.
Yeah, you were first on it, DY, for sure. And I mean, you had, mentioned a meeting occurring this morning between Gene Taylor and Jerome Tang, and that obviously was true. And we later learned the outcome of it from you in the group text of what was transpiring and what went down.
Yeah, as soon as I heard and was kind of told that Jerome Tang and Gene Taylor were like meeting, I think that was like at 10 a.m. I was like, man, on a Sunday morning, right when I get back from Houston, like that's not just some mundane, like scheduled, planned, ordinary meeting.
I was scrolling up to find the timestamp on this to give you full credit, DY. I went a little bit too far, and what I saw was actually I thought this was the first thing this morning. This I think was the last thing last night, but it said since the start of 2026, Jerome Tang 1 win, Pete Hughes 2 wins. Let's see.
Now 3 for Pete, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Now 3. 9:03 a.m. Derek Young. 9:03 a.m. was just told Tang is meeting with Gene and Veneer right now. Nicely done, DY. Nicely done. All right. Well, I think I speak for most everybody when I say that this seems like the best case scenario if you are a K-State fan right now. That doesn't mean this is going to be all smooth sailing into like you won't have to pay anything and you're going to be totally out of $18.7 million like off the hook for it. I don't think that is going to be the case here, but judging by the language in the contract, which I read to you from Pete Thamel there, the Manhattan Mercury also had some reporting on this as well. I mean, if the clause there is like general conduct embarrassing to K-State, I mean, Jerome Tang just turned himself and the school into a national headline. You're a little bit lucky that it was a slow news day and it made it all the way to PTI and all the different places that it did get to. I mean, this I'm kind of interested to see what this will be like. I would imagine ultimately it's going to end up becoming a settlement for somewhere between $0 and $18.7 million.
I think that they'll be on the hook for a considerable amount still, but I imagine it will be less than the 18 because it technically is in violation of what that would suggest. But I honestly think that they would have some probably arguments against that. Some, just how it always happens in court. At the end of the day, I would think neither side would want to go to discovery on this, just because like when that happens, like anything can kind of get out there that neither one probably would want out there for the entire world to know. It's just how the bacon is cooked, so to speak. So I would imagine they settle out of court. I don't even know what to guess, but I think it'll be less than the 18, but probably still a considerable amount.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see this probably go to arbitration, and it'll be a settlement, or probably at like the 50% buyout mark. I think it'll be south of 10 million, but I don't think it'll be that far south. You'll probably be looking at like an $8 to $9 million settlement. You don't want to tie this thing up in court for a long time. Neither party does, because then you're taking on a lot of legal fees and wasting money in that, going down that road. So look, I mean, they have a case for firing for cause here that they believe in. I would, make some other points that I think are firing for cause that have transpired over the last couple of years. Look, I think, frankly, guys, Jerome Tang opened himself up by acknowledging that he had the players do the scouting report for the Houston game post game on Saturday, which we learned was the plan going into it on Thursday morning after they ran stairs a billion times in Bramlage Coliseum at the 6 a.m. practice. We learned later that morning that the players were in charge of the scouting report, and that's absurd. The coach's job is to do the scouting report. You can have players sit in on it and do that, but to have them take the lead on it is a firing for cause in my eyes, not fulfilling your duties as a head coach. And that comes on the heels, guys, according to sources close to the program last year, before they lost by 30 points to Houston, which at the time was the 5th worst home loss in Kansas State basketball history. According to sources close to the program, they didn't watch film before the Houston game last year, and they lost by 30. So what are they doing to prepare these guys? If Kansas State is aware of this, like, those are grounds for firing for cause, and how they get brought to light and brought up in a settlement, that's to be determined. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure that will be part of the discussion and the arguments that both sides are making here.
Okay, well, I feel like we should do this for Alenko. This should be the top storyline. I think this is what people are going to be most interested in is, okay, Jerome Tang is fired. What's it going to cost? So it's brought to you by our friends at Alenko for all your home improvement needs. Getting close to spring. You got some spring cleaning going on. You want to get a home improvement project done. Check out Alenko, alencohome.com, ALENCO home.com. So the buyout is $18.7 million, as has been widely reported now by us, Pete Thamel, and others. It's a firing for cause. We believe that will likely lead to a settlement of some kind, and it will be less than $18.7 million for sure. But still a substantial sum of money that you are going to have to pony up and pay here. Cole, I think the better angle is very much going down the embarrassing conduct route, because I know you're bringing up, hey, didn't watch film before a Houston game one time. Jerome Tang literally said, here's Coach Abdi Bashir and Nate Johnson, who did the scouting for this year's Houston game after what happened, which, probably is not the greatest thing in the world for him here. But I would think it's just as easy on the other side for his attorney to say, it's my coaching tactic. They played a lot harder this time around. The result was much better when we did things this way, which I know you'll turn around and say, well, what does that say about you as a coach? Like, okay, but we're talking about the legality here of whether or not you're doing your duty as a head coach. I think you can just say it's a motivational tactic as a coach. I don't think that's any surefire home run case. But if you're talking about, I'm reading the Manhattan Mercury, which quoted the contract. Tang shall not engage in any behavior, actions, or activities that subjects the coach, K-State Athletics, or the university to public disrepute, embarrassment, ridicule, or scandal. That sure seems like it qualifies the comments that he made after the Cincinnati game earlier this week. That seems like a much easier case to me to make than, hey, I changed up how we're doing the scout and that the players were doing the scouting, and that's derelict in duty as a head coach. My opinion. Again, none of us lawyers here. totally putting that out there.
Yeah, and what he said after the game, it was like a strategy on him to, almost force a little bit more buy-in and investment from the roster. So there's really good ways to defend that. I think you're right on what's probably more easy to argue when it comes to cause and what isn't. At the end of the day, both sides are going to have leverage against one another, and they're going to settle out of court because they're probably not going to want discovery at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's all fair. I mean, I guess at the other end, you could point at the year before when they didn't watch film on the Houston game and they had the 5th worst home defeat in school history. Now, you could also argue that Houston's just a hell of a program, and, that plays a part in it too. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't read the full contract. I mean, Jerome Tang embarrassed Kansas State over the last week. They became a punching bag in the headlines and the bags over the student's head. And look, I'm sure it also weighed a little bit, like Tuesday night against Baylor, that those bags on the heads was going to be even far greater. And it's just for the best. Everybody, I think that, I don't think Gene Taylor's somebody that typically would fire anybody mid-season or before the end of the year. I think that caught us all by surprise when this came to light earlier today. But I think it's just best to let everybody know, like, hey, yeah, we are moving on at this point. Everybody can kind of rally the troops, get behind this team the rest of the way, and you can start your coaching search for the next candidate at the program and, just move your separate ways. It's going to get ugly probably behind the scenes between both sides, Jerome Tang and Kansas State. Kansas State agreed to the contract, gave him this large buyout. So that's going to be the argument that Jerome Tang makes. Obviously, Kansas State believes they have a case, and I ultimately think this thing will get settled, like I said, for under $10 million. But Jerome Tang will walk away with some money in all likelihood.
I don't know about an actual sum. I think I don't know legalities and who has a better case and what's going to win and how they come to a number. I don't know if it's even typically 50-50. So I don't know that I would go that road. I would say it might be hard to get that number under 10 or under, in my opinion. That's where I would fall in at. What I would say is if you're Kansas State, you got nothing to lose here because you're on the hook for 18 million or a little bit less, and all you got to lose is legal fees, and that's probably worth the argument.
Oh yeah, I mean this is you take your shot with this for sure. And that's why, going back to my opening statement and all this, like, this was the best case scenario. It's K-State's not going to take it lying down, and they're making the move early so that it's not going to just get ugly the rest of the year. And I would point out too, again, I'm no legal expert here at all. I have to imagine these contracts are kind of written like this, by the way, in order to set up situations like this. You see this a lot. When a coach gets fired, there'll be a huge buyout number out there, and then it turns out that they're trying to fire for cause, and it goes down this road. Because look at this language. I mean, the language in this contract states that Tang shall not engage in any behavior, actions, or activities that subjects coach K-State athletics or the university to public disrepute, embarrassment, ridicule, or scandal. It's not just K-State athletics or the university, it's coach. And so K-State was definitely a part of all that the last week, but so much of it was focused on the coach, like becoming the guy who was being targeted. To me, that seems like a pretty easy argument to try and make. And but there's so many angles on both sides to this where it feels like you can see how this very easily leads down a road of like, okay, of course the two sides are just going to wind up settling here because there's no clear cut answer or case on either side. And it seems to me like that's almost intentionally how it's written.
It's worth the fight, even if you lose. It's worth the legal fees if you lose. And John, the last show we did, what we basically said is like, it went from this thing is impossible to pay to it's impossible to kind of not pay it at this point because the situation had become so untenable. And when we talk about untenable, that was the relationship probably between Tang and school, but between Tang and fan base and the embarrassment, going back to the legal argument here, the embarrassment that he was bringing to the university. I mean, everyone was talking about before the Houston game, what was everyone talking about? It was talking about the Cincinnati comments and, how big the spread was essentially. And if Houston would still cover or if they could name their score. So the situation was untenable. So you kind of had to do it. You take your shot and kind of arguing cause, and you get a head start and jump into the market before anyone else so that maybe you can go out and obviously get a better coach.
Well, and there was no fixing it. I mean, there was no way that the relationship was going to be repaired between Kansas State fans, the administration, Jerome Tang moving forward. I mean, he'd always talked about how the students were his people. And then at the Cincinnati game, the students had turned against him as well. And so there was no way that this situation could be fixed. And when you look at the financials, okay, we've talked about it many a times. The buyout currently is 18.7 million, but it only drops $3 million. So next year you're going to be paying 15.7 million. If you truly believe he wasn't going to fix this, which I didn't see any way that could happen. I mean, how are you going to get kids to play for Jerome Tang with less resources, less money after what he's put on display the last 3 seasons on the court? The word has spread in the coaching and in the high school ranks and all of college basketball community and the high school ranks, et cetera. He wasn't going to be able to pull in talent to turn this thing around, even if, had the money, and he wasn't going to have the NIL resources. So you had to look at it like, hey, like we're only going to save $3 million, but what's the loss with us going on another year? I mean, we know men's basketball is not the gigantic revenue generator that college football is, but there's still a loss. I mean, ticket sales, donations, the lack of excitement go down drastically, the damage to the program beyond that. And the way the contract is written, it only drops $3 million after May 1st. So you weren't going to get it down another $3 million. The portal already closes by May 1st. So you couldn't wait any longer. You had to weigh those situations and ultimately decide, all right, now we got to move on, and we'll present a case that we believe we have a case to fire Jerome Tang for cause. Let's try to get that down in terms of the financials and go from there.
Gene Taylor's holding a press conference tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. to kind of go over everything that's happened. But he did release a statement saying this was a decision that was made in the best interest of our university and men's basketball program. Recent public comments and conduct, in addition to the program's overall direction, have not aligned with K-State standards for supporting student athletes and representing the university. We wish Coach Tang and his family all the best moving forward. It also says an interim head coach will be announced in the near future, and a national search for the next basketball coach will begin immediately.
So already positioning themselves for the firing with cause, everything that we're talking about here in the way that statement is released from Gene Taylor. Recent public comments and conduct have not aligned with K-State standards for supporting student athletes and representing the university. I think you can see where this is all going, man. DY, I'm with you. Obviously, we talked an entire show about it. Didn't seem like there was any way that this could continue beyond this year. And it just started feeling like more and more after those comments, like this isn't going to make it until the end of the year. It felt inevitable that this was going to have to happen. But even still, the fact that we're here and the fact that it happened this quickly, and the fact that it happened after they played a hell of a lot better against Houston, frankly, has me a bit surprised. I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised because it's just relieving. I mean, I think that's the big thing here. I don't want to be out there like, dancing on the grave of Jerome Tang being done as the basketball coach here, but it's just like relief because it got to the point where it was just like every game and every post-game press conference, I was kind of holding my breath like, gosh, like how is this going to get embarrassing today? I mean, it's how I felt watching the Houston game, but they played much better. And then the post-game radio comments come up and I'm sitting there listening to the Wyatt and Stan interview, like again, like this feeling of like holding my breath, like what's he going to say? What's going to happen? I thought he might come back and fire back with some words at the haters because they played better and all that sort of thing. But that wasn't the route that he went. But anyway, my point is when you get in that situation where it's there, that's where it really feels like you just need to cut bait and move on, because I'm sure if you're Gene Taylor and K-State at that point, you're like, I don't trust this guy at a microphone. Like, what's going to happen now? Wow. Okay. And we have a press conference at 8:30 tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Actually at 8:30 tonight. Okay.
Gene's not messing around, I guess.
Not messing around. Wow. I mean, okay. Well, I guess we'll get some answers pretty quickly here on what exactly K-State's case is going to be. Is that where's that at? DY, are you going to be able to make it there in time?
Well, I'm going to have to jump off here in time, but it's in Veneer.
Okay. Reminds me of the time, actually, a different situation, obviously. But remember when Frank Martin got his contract extension from John Curry? I can't remember, John, if you were at that press conference, but it was like a Sunday morning after Fake Patty's Day. I was still a younger reporter, and I remember crawling out of bed and getting a text that there was a press conference with John Curry and Frank Martin about a contract extension, and had to get there pretty early after a little bit of fun the night before. So this is obviously a different circumstance with the firing here, but yeah, man, they're jumping on this thing quick. And that's a smart thing to do. Don't let it linger. Get out in front of it right away.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I commend K-State, Gene Taylor, everybody for the way that they have handled this, to be completely honest. And like, yeah, I guess outside of the fired for cause thing, I mean, I think doing it quickly and getting it done is better even for Jerome Tang. I think it's best for like all parties involved there that this is the way it's going. All right, well, we'll take a break, come back, maybe start turning the page a bit early on here to like, where's K-State going to go next now that the Jerome Tang era is over. You're listening to 3 Mile.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, you know, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
All right. Do we want to do any, like, it's all moving very fast, but any like post-mortem real quick on the Jerome Tang era? I mean, the thing is, we have kind of gradually done this over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks when this became really bad during the losing streak. And like, we've already come out here and admitted, like, obviously, you know, we bought in as hook, line, and sinker as anybody on Jerome Tang and have looked very foolish with the way that has gone down. So in some ways, it feels like you've already kind of said your goodbyes to the Jerome Tang era, and now the finality of it is here. But real quick, thank you for bringing that up, by the way, on the screen. Like and subscribe, people. If you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you're into the Cats, K-State Sports, please do subscribe and like the video. But DY and Cole, I'll leave it open to you. Any quick post-mortem on the Jerome Tang era?
A love story really gone wrong, right? Because, man, this fan base and school and Jerome Tang were really in love after that first year. And so that flame was burning hot, but it just, you know, completely melted down and burnt hot the other way too. He was someone that really rode like momentum. He knew how to ride momentum. He knew how to use capital and equity, and he had a lot of that after the first year. And so he could really fire up a fan base and really galvanize everyone. But when you talk a big game like that, when you run out of equity, it gets used against you. And we're seeing that in a lot of cases, because we see and hear all kinds of people always kind of throw the expect to win back in his face now when he jumped up on the scores table when they beat Kansas the first time at home. So it's all that stuff is great, and it's exactly what people want to hear when things are going well. But when they start to not go well, it gets thrown in your face, and he can never turn the downward trajectory around, right? After that first year, it got worse every single season. And probably what hurts him the most, other than some of those things and him talking a big game and having it thrown into his face, is also getting the resources that he got, even more than he had in the first year, and doing essentially nothing with it. Like, you know, Andy Staples put out a post tonight said Kansas State provided him the resources to win enough that he should have won big, but instead he recruited his own problems and face planted.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the numbers earlier today. I mean, the 49% winning percentage over the last 3 seasons is 15th out of 16 Big 12 teams. Only Arizona State is worse in the Big 12. Kansas State 18-32 in the Big 12 over the last 3 seasons, 45-47 overall. It's not going to cut it. You can't miss the NCAA tournament 3 straight seasons. Bruce Weber got fired for that. It is surreal to me to look at how quick it came off the tracks. And I have a ton of pictures on my phone from the first year and being at all the games with my parents, with my son, Brody, and all the joy that we had from being down on the court moments before games to Brody warming up with the team before the Texas game. They treated us really well. They were great to work with. We did a lot of events with them and, the Wildcat NIL golf tourney 3 straight years as well. And we had access, and result of that, like I got too close, frankly. And the relationships, I was awfully quick to defend Jerome Tang and this coaching staff. I wanted to really believe in them. I probably gave them a longer leash than anybody when it came to the failures. I was wrong. There were a lot of people that were right about this going off the tracks far earlier than I was. A ton of K-State fans were in my mentions about that. And I was still, believing, even up into this season, early in the year, believing that they could turn it around. It's hard for me to fathom just how bad it got, how quickly it went off the rails. It's hard to think like this is a guy that beat John Calipari, Tom Izzo, Bill Self, Scott Drew. I remember the tweet that I put out when I was in Madison Square Garden at the NCAA tournament after they beat Michigan State. I mean, the guy had beaten like 5 or 6 national championship coaches just in 1 year. And they were like 13-4 at one point against top 25 coaches at home. I mean, it's hard to fathom the amount of good coaches they could beat in those first couple of years, but then to just not be able to coach, like, I don't know. Like I don't know if it's the NIL era, the portal era or what, or if I was just fooled completely, but yeah, it's hard to.
Well, like I said, he could really, his superpower was convincing people and making people believe, not just you, but to everyone. It's why he had the resources he did.
Dude, the financial support that he generated behind him, so much of which was just done on his own. I said the whole time, you got to give him credit for that. It was not spent well and was not a good investment, but he knew how to drum up financial support and support in general. I mean, think of he didn't even really say anything publicly in the way behind the scenes. He galvanized everybody against Richard Linton once upon a time, obviously us included. Like he knew how to get things done that he wanted done.
That's what I said. He could use even the initial success he had in that first year of the Elite Eight run. He could use, any equity or any capital that he had. His superpower was using it and utilizing it to the betterment of him and his program, and was able to convince people and get them on board and jump on the bandwagon the entire time. People were still on the bandwagon even after last season. Like that was his superpower. But when you start to lose by 20 and 30 points every single night in Bramlage Coliseum and show little pride, little effort, and I think part of it was also having it done to you by KU and Iowa State, because the people that do give the money and will have to give the money, those are the games that matter too. I think that all of it kind of goes into the calculus here.
Well, and not being able to believe what he was saying because he told you so many things, and then contrary to that, what transpired or happened afterwards, you finally were like, all right, I can't believe this anymore. I bought in on things that he would say, but then the execution of that was the polar opposite of what we were being told. So, I just had no faith anymore at this point.
Yeah. A couple things. We shout out to Spade TV and their Arkansas fan here to think we almost hired him. Dodge that bullet. We got an Arkansas fan hanging out here in the chat. All right.
Thanks, dog. Yeah.
Also, Wildcat photo in here. So maybe President Linton deserves an apology. You guys have not been watching the last few. Like we've done this whole thing. We've done the apology tour. We've done the we're idiots. We've done the you're smart, we're dumb, and also the President Linton piece was still not handled perfectly on his part. There were still errors on his part in that nobody was untainted in that whole thing. But yes, we have done this all. All right, let's turn the page here real quick because DUI and I have to run. Next head coach. I think even without any inside info, you don't need any inside info to know Gene Taylor's probably going to hire somebody that's been a head coach before.
You always hired the guy that's opposite of the guy you fired. Yep.
Yeah. And the way that this went with a guy who, it seems like did not handle things very well after that first year, did not build didn't have anything sturdy to rely on. Like, this is what we're building around. I would think it's going to be a guy who would have a better idea of that. You are probably looking at established head coaches. Some names that I think you should watch out for that will probably be popular names for a lot of openings. Jared Calhoun, Utah State, Alan Huss at Creighton, Josh Schertz, St. Louis. Thoughts there, and anybody else that you want?
Stephen F. Austin, coach.
Maybe we should first say Brad Underwood is. Guys, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. He's a tease. He's a tease. Speaking of things that Cole and I have bought in on big time before, and it looked stupid for. Brad Underwood's not happening.
It's even less likely than it was the last time, because as much as Jerome Tang's buyout is, I think it's just as much or even more to get Brad Underwood out of his contract at Illinois now. And that's before you have to pay him a salary that would be more than Jerome Tang was getting as well. So it's even less likely than it was then. Josh Schertz, I don't know if we'll see.
You don't know if you're in on Josh Schertz, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he's probably going to be fine. All these guys are about the same to me, I guess, and he's going to be the most in demand. He's going to be the most in demand, and if you would think that, probably it's going to depend on what other jobs are open in the market, but I doubt Kansas State's going to be the absolute best job available.
Yeah, I mean, one name I would stay away from, guys, that'll probably be on people's, coaching hot board list. Travis Steele, Miami of Ohio, former Xavier head coach. They're 25-0 this season. They're 12-0 in the MAC. They went 25-9 last season. He's been at Miami of Ohio 4 seasons. But prior to that, guys, he was the head coach at Xavier for 4 years, compiled a 70-50 record, failed to make the NCAA tournament, never won 20 games in a single season at Xavier. He was hired by Sean Miller at Xavier in the 08-09 season, was retained by Chris Mack. They obviously had a ton of success when he was an assistant, but I don't want to fall for the whole mid-major, one big season type. Eric Olin, a head coach in New Mexico, is a guy that's really intriguing to me. He was the head coach of the University of San Diego last year. They went 30-5, took them to the NCAA tournament, gave Michigan a hell of a fight in the opening round game, 240 and 119 record during his time at San Diego. They transitioned from Division II during his time to Division I, won the Big West last year. He's 18-4 at New Mexico in year 1, 9-2 in the Mountain West, originally from Alabama. Josh Schertz, obviously 443 and 125 career record in his coaching career. That also goes back to his Division II days. Obviously had a ton of success at St. Louis right now, 21-1, 9-0 in the Atlantic 10. Last year they were 19-15 in year 1, but it was Indiana State the year before that, 32-7, missed the NCAA tournament, finishes the NIT runner-up. So Schertz is going to be coveted. He's from the Northeast. He's from New York. So there's going to be some Northeastern jobs that open. You think about Syracuse, you think about Providence. Those are gigs, Pittsburgh, all that will probably open this offseason. And then, Jared Calhoun, Utah State, had a lot of success at Utah State in 2 years. Has had a ton of success in his entirety of his coaching career. Built Youngstown State up. And then Alan Huss, associate head coach in waiting at Creighton, is another guy that I think would be a really nice hire. He went back to Creighton this last year after spending 2 years at High Point, where he went 56-15. The prior 4 seasons, High Point went 46-73 before Huss's arrival. And you look at those offenses, top 40 offenses in Ken Palm at High Point both years, and his offenses at Creighton, tremendous as well with Greg McDermott as the head coach, decided to go back and be the head coach in waiting. So those are some guys. We'll do more post shows on this, probably another show early this week to talk through the candidates.
Cole, I was going the nugget that I came up with Huss. Now, just the nugget. I read it on his Wikipedia page, but he played high school basketball in North Kansas City. So
okay,
he's got a local tie there.
And he coaches big men, and Ryan Kalbrenner was best big man in the Big East for years. Big East Defensive Player of the Year, multiple seasons, second round pick in the NBA draft. So Alan Huss would be a really nice hire, in my opinion. Head coaching experience and been dynamic at Creighton. They thought highly enough of him to make him Greg McDermott's head coach in waiting. The challenge there, guys, is he is a Creighton alum. So head coach in waiting, Creighton alum. That will be hard. But those are probably 5 guys off the top of the list. We'll put this together pretty quickly. I think there's going to be several more that'll be candidates, and we'll have a lot more on 3MA, so stay tuned to the channel.
DY, you're muted. Also, I would say patreon.com/3MA. Already saw that there was a new subscriber there during the show. So patreon.com/3MA if you want to stay up to date on what's going on. DY. Oh no, we still have no DY. It's been muted. I don't know what's going on, but it is 8:00. There is a press conference at 8:30. DY. I don't. Maybe that's just a sign that you need to go.
Yeah. Now you hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. That was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any final thoughts, Steve?
Well, I said I was going to go talk to Gene Taylor, so I bring it up because of that. But his comment after Kleiman spoke at his retirement press conference looks even more silly in retrospect. It was just December when he basically pounded his chest and tried to dunk that he hired Jerome Tang. And that could probably be something that gets used against him in the deposition if this thing really gets juicy between the two sides when they negotiate this buyout.
I just don't think that it's going to be all that crazy. I think you'll just see a settlement. I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah, but that gets used for the negotiation.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe it hurts him. Yeah. Maybe that's an extra $1 million or $2 million. I don't know.
Yeah. The fact that was just like barely a month before. Yeah.
And we've talked about this. I don't think he was trying to like dunk on anybody. I think it was a little bit more like, hey, my coach is right here. It was a regrettable thing to say for sure. But
we need a Kansas State arbitrator or judge for this case. Can we get that like Alabama got on the Bediako stuff and Ole Miss got for Trinidad Shameless?
Well, I don't know, Cole. I mean, the NCAA and these decisions that keep going, give me a straight pat. Okay, anyway, I don't need to go down that road. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jerome. I'm sorry. That was a low blow. Okay, well, Derek is going to be at the press conference. I saw that question asked in the chat there. We both got to run some good names in there, man. Greg Marshall, Larry Eustace, Bob Huggins. I saw all of those names get thrown in there. Frank. I saw Frank get thrown. Cole, Frank. You gonna text Frank?
Yeah, okay. DY's running. I'll text Frank.
See you guys.
Cole, what are your true thoughts here? Say them right now on the air before you text him. Do you want Frank Martin as the head coach?
I don't know if Frank would. No, I don't think so. I love Frank.
I just wanted to make you say it.
Why did you make me go in that awkward of a situation? Like, I think
look, Frank, we love you. Okay, Cole loves you.
I absolutely love Frank. I mean, obviously, so I hate that you just put me in that spot, you son of a gun. But all
right,
yeah, I got Frank. I tell you what, John, I'd love Frank back as associate head coach. Give me that.
Okay, all right, I can get behind that. All right, so, I gotta go. Phone's blown up. We got things to do, people to see, but you'll be hearing from us a lot, obviously, with this news now. Baylor game. Is that Tuesday? Baylor Tuesday?
Yeah, Jerome Tang won't be on the Baylor sideline, will he, John?
That'll be interesting. I don't know. Don't know. We'll see. Okay. Thank you to Holiday Distillery. Thank you to Elenco, ElencoHome.com for all your home improvement needs. Go get your Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon. Thanks to Nick Springer for making this happen on short notice. And thank you to all of you for joining us on short notice for some 3MA After Dark here tonight. We'll talk to you very soon. Take care.